The war taught the world how to kill faster than ever before, but in the shadow of the explosions, something almost impossible was happening. Imagine this. The guns fall silent for a fragile moment, smoke still hanging heavy in the air, the ground trembling with what just passed, bodies scattered in uniforms that moments ago were sworn to hate each other. Inside a crude hospital made of canvas, mud, and desperation, enemies lock eyes and make a choice that history rarely talks about. They choose to heal, not because peace has been declared, not because the war is over, but because suffering does not wait for permission. This is not a legend crafted to soften the brutality of World War II. It is a raw, uncomfortable truth. While nations demanded blood, doctors from opposing sides crossed invisible lines drawn by fear and propaganda, proving that when violence reaches its limit, humanity sometimes steps forward instead. Field hospitals during World War II became strange sanctuaries suspended between life and death. In these spaces, ideology lost its power. A wounded man screaming on a stretcher was no longer an enemy soldier. He was shattered bone, torn flesh, and a fading pulse. German doctors worked alongside Allied medics during brief ceasefires, prisoner exchanges, or chaotic retreats where order collapsed and survival was the only law left standing. Surgical tools were passed hand to hand without question. Knowledge was shared in whispers and urgent commands. There was no time to argue about flags when blood was pouring onto the floor. Outside, artillery waited like a reminder that mercy was temporary. But inside, doctors moved with focus and urgency, united by the simple understanding that a life in front of them mattered more than the war raging beyond the tent walls. What makes these moments almost unbearable in their beauty is the risk behind every decision. Treating the enemy was not bravery applauded by command. It was disobedience that could end a career or a life. Yet many doctors chose their oath over their orders, refusing to let hatred dictate who deserved to survive the night. They stitched wounds knowing full well that the man they saved might one day aim a rifle at their own side. They operated under flickering lamps, exhausted beyond measure, haunted by the knowledge that war demanded endless victims. Still, they continued, because to them, medicine was not a weapon of sides, but a promise to humanity itself. These doctors lived in a cruel paradox. They healed men so they could return to battle, even as they despised the war that made their skills necessary. Every successful surgery was both a victory and a burden. Yet in those fleeting hours of cooperation, something rare existed, proof that compassion could survive even when the world was tearing itself apart. The battlefield tried to erase identity, but in those hospitals, humanity was restored piece by piece, stitch by stitch, breath by breath. This is why these stories refuse to fade, because they remind us that even when war stripped humanity down to its ugliest instincts, something stubborn and defiant endured. When diplomacy failed and weapons spoke louder than reason, healing became a quiet rebellion. Hands that had no interest in conquest. Hands that shook from exhaustion, not hatred. Hands that cured where guns only destroyed. In a war defined by enemies, these doctors proved that the most powerful act was not pulling a trigger, but refusing to let another human die when there was still a chance to save them.